Well, welcome. I am truly honored to get this chance to spend some time with you today in place of Becky. As you can tell, I am not Rebecca Hinsey, so surprise! This is Callie Stoyer. I'm Rebecca's sister, and filling in for her today on some topics that I love. So this is a great chance to spend some time with you and discuss some really cool things. So thanks for having me and hanging out with me for the next hour. We're gonna have a good time. Does that sound good? Awesome. And I know that many of you, I think, Melissa, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but everyone on this call is involved in doTERRA. Isn't that right?
Probably for the most part, but this is the monthly mentoring call, so they're all involved with the Emotions Mentor monthly mentoring program.
And everybody, well, many people I know were at the doTERRA convention. Is that right? Yes. Yes. Woohoo! Exciting. Okay. Awesome. Because we're going to talk about emotions, of course. This is the Emotions Mentor call. Of course we are. And then we're going to also talk about some of the new products. And so I invite you, if you were able to get a kit. I know many of us were not because they were quickly purchased up. But if you have some of the new products, then I want you to pull those out too, and your emotions aromatherapy kit if you have that as well. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get to the nitty-gritty of this presentation. Let's see. All right. So we are going to be talking about changing your thoughts and how that can change your life. And I love that she has here wild orange and frankincense as a kickoff combination for this thought of changing your thoughts and changing your life, because that is absolutely one of my favorite essential oil combinations for mood and emotion. So if you have that with you, I invite you to go ahead and get the frankincense and wild orange out. She talks about a lot of different combinations here. And it really, we're going to be talking about how you integrate essential oils into this changing your thoughts and changing your life. So I love to use them as we talk. All right. So I've got frankincense and wild orange here. I'm going to put some right in my hand. I invite you to do the same. And if you don't have this combination, it's okay. You can pull out some of your favorites to affect mood, and some of the emotions one, or even some of the new ones. So I wanted you to go grab them now if you need to. We're going to be interactive today. Okay, so you're going to be writing. Also, if you don't have pen and paper, grab that too, because I'm going to have you writing and using oils, having fun with me for the next hour. So I've got these oils in my hands. I'm breathing them in, taking a deep breath. I'm also I like to put it on the back of my, top of my spine, kind of right here in the back of my neck. Get it right there. Maybe put some on my chest, breathe it in, and just feel the power, the amazing power of our essential oils, as we're going to talk about how we can change our thoughts, which is so powerful too, to be able to change our life. All right. I want you guys to feel powerful as we do this and jump into this. So, and the reason that I want you to feel power and invite the oils to help you feel this is because you are super powerful, and especially once or when you decide that these truths that we're going to talk about today, when you truly decide to believe them. Okay, don't just listen to that I know many of you on this call, Becky's talked to me about you, bragged about you, is so impressed and loves to work with you. And I know she feels just completely honored to be working in this group. And I've heard her say many times that this is her favorite. She does many, many calls, and this is her favorite of them to do this monthly mentoring call. So yay, you, first of all, for being such an awesome, powerful group. That's really cool. And that's why I was saying, I'm honored I get to be with you, amongst you, learning with you, sharing with you. And I know how smart you all are. And so you might have thought in the beginning, this is a topic I already know all about. And please, actually, if you want to input and talk, you can unmute yourself and add your input as well. I totally invite that. But instead of just hearing those words, we're gonna delve in and feel them, feel the power of these statements and thoughts during this hour. Because you do get to decide to write the book of your life. Your thoughts really get to manifest and create your reality. Okay, so I started with saying, asking that question, how involved in doTERRA are you? And were you at convention? Some were, some weren't. At convention, we had this amazing experience for a few days that was just inspiring and powerful and uplifting. If you've ever been there before, you know what I'm talking about. New products launched, new energy, new momentum that comes out of that experience. And since we're in those follow-up few days of having experienced that, I want you to piggyback from that momentum and from that experience and write for just a second. We're going to take a couple of minutes. I actually have my pen and paper here with me too. So I'm mentoring right along with you and going to go through this experience too. And I want you to write down what it is that you want. And if you were at convention, or if you've already talked to your leaders, it's a great time to goal set and to think about your business or your personal life and what you want. And I'm going to break it down into 3 things that I want you to write about. We are in the month of September. And because our doTERRA business runs on a calendar month, it's always good to know what you're doing in this month. What is your goal for this month of September? Right? We're not quite halfway there yet, but there's a lot of time left. There's a lot of time left to do really great things, in fact. Okay? Because this is our power hour. We are super powerful and amazing. And we have a very big, if you were there, a very big mission, purpose, and responsibility to rise up and share what we know and share who we are with others. So what is your goal for September? And that can be personal too. What is your goal for the rest of this calendar year? Because we are approaching, we're going into our last final quarter of the year. And what is it that you want to accomplish, manifest, desire, what dream? It's our dreaming time for the rest of this year. And then the third one is what we're going to use convention, just because we're talking about that and just experienced it. Convention is going to happen next year. What goal do you want to accomplish showing up to convention next year? And are you going to show up? Because if you were there, you know why you were there and how wonderful it was. If you weren't there, I invite you to be there next year at convention and decide now how you're going to show up at convention. What rank are you going to be? What goals will you have accomplished? Who's going to be there with you that you love? Because that's what this process is about, whether it's the business that we're talking about or whether it's the emotions that we're talking about and gaining our power through our thoughts and our manifesting. At the end of the day, it's about the lives that we can affect with our light shining and allowing our light to shine brightly. So who would you be bringing along with you to convention? Okay, I'm going to be quiet for a minute. All right, I'm going to read. I just felt inspired to go grab this. It's a quote actually from Emily Wright. And if you were at convention, it was in this convention book. And I read it just yesterday for the first time, actually. It was, she has this congratulations first page of this book. But in here she says that, and I'm saying this because I'm asking you to set some goals here. And specific to doTERRA, Emily says, these ranks and our goals are simply a compass that helps us know where we are going and keeps us on the right course. What identifies us and defines our value is how we influence the lives of others. Okay, so this is why we want to work on our emotions, and this is why all of you as part of Emotions Mentor want to help others to work on their emotions, because all of it is about how we influence the lives of others. It's that love and care we show to other people. Each and every one of you are worthy of love, are worthy of progress, are worthy of success. Okay. So, moving on, your thoughts are truly chemical reactions, and what we think creates our reality, okay? Not, I know that you guys have talked about this, and Becky's been talking about this, and this is like a basic concept. But again, I'm inviting us to just go deeper with it. Sometimes we hear something and it's like, yeah, but until we really meditate on it, use our oils. That's why I want you to have the oils out to help us to really have this sink deep and discover something new as we are contemplating this. Okay? Because as we do it, new information is going to come out, and write it down as it comes out. It's so imperative that we think good thoughts, and that we really internalize that it's all starting here. Doesn't that give you some power when you truly think about this and own it and take that ultimate responsibility for your circumstances, for where you're at, for how you feel at all times? We ultimately have the full responsibility, because nobody can give us our thoughts. Sure, we have all kinds of information coming at us, surrounding us at all times, but how we react to it, what we think about everything happening around us is ours. This is like the ultimate in power. So you want to feel like Wonder Woman? You just take this one concept and own it, and you get to be completely Wonder Woman, Superman, whatever it is, right? So what's cool about our essential oils is that they allow information to be altered and changed at the cellular level. Okay? So that is why we're pulling out our frankincense and our citrus bliss and this really cool emotional therapy wheel I have sitting right here, and my emotions oils. Lots of information, really cool information was shared about this kit at convention. Okay, these oils truly can get in and help us to recognize that we're not powerless, that we can do it and can change that cellular information. Now, I'm going to switch screens for a second and share with you. Melissa, you're going to have to tell me if this is working. When I switch here, are you seeing my Chrome now?
I still see your PowerPoint.
Okay, I've got to unshare. That's what I was worried about, but it's going to be worth it, guys. Hang with me. All right, so I'm unsharing, and then I'm going to share again and grab the other one. Okay, now you see my Google Chrome, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're on YouTube.
All right. Yeah, we're on YouTube. Okay, so, and this, when it went wide, you see it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know if you've seen the movie Inside Out, all right? But right now, I'm going to introduce you to your emotions in a fun way. So bear with me as we have fun for just a second.
I'm Joy. This is sadness. That's anger. This is disgust. And that's fear. We're Riley's emotions.
It feels like that sometimes. Have you ever had a day like that?
Inside out. Inside out. Inside out. Inside out. Yeah.
Okay, wasn't that fun? Do you guys relate to that? Those different emotions? And that's what's going on inside of us. You know, really it's starting with our thoughts that create those emotions that we get to choose how we react. Now that, okay, let me go back. Let me stop share here. And go back to the presentation. Okay, I thought that was really fun. So we have all of that going on inside of us, and it's very real. Those emotions are very real. But I'm going to show you another clip a little bit later of how I move this. Oops. I've got the Brady Bunch screen boxes right in the middle of my screen. All right, you'll just have to stay there. Okay, moving on. So that's all going on inside of us, and our cells, they truly do believe what we tell them. So there's so much power, and I don't know if you've ever recognized or know somebody that with their negative thoughts can truly create a physical reaction and manifestation of how they're thinking and feeling. And we you know, the examples here, October, if you're going into fall and you just expect that you're going to get a terrible sinus infection, or every Christmas I get sick. Okay, there's all kinds of examples like that people can truly make themselves feel sick because they're thinking and expecting that that's going to happen. So just that mere expectation that we can have and knowing that this is true, kind of that And I think you guys read Molecules of Emotion this month, so you understand at a cellular level how this is happening. How do we then deal with it if this is the kind of power that we have? Well, we get to choose what we're telling ourselves, okay? So if you can actually know that, then we have a lot of opportunity for change here. So Becky loves to tell this story because she was a newscaster where she, when doing the news, the way it works is the journalists all arrive in the morning early and start to filter through all of the world's news and information to decide what's relevant, what do we want to report to the world. And then they pull it and can condense it, and they've learned how to write it just in the right way, packaging it to release it to the world, to tell everybody what to know of all the information that's out there. Okay, so I want you to picture and think about that and realize we get to write the daily news of our life each day. We get to, with our powerful brain, go through all of the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions and information that's vast, that's out there, that's going on, all of the different factors and things that we're responsible for, that's going on in our life, that's going on in our team, that's just going on everywhere. And if you really wanted to, you could feel super overwhelmed at any time by those things. But also we get to distill it down and pick and choose and tell ourselves what to think, what to believe, what's important, and report that daily news. Now, I like to tell my kids and even myself that with this knowledge and understanding, that in the very morning when you wake up and open up your eyes, and before you even get out of bed, I like to choose how I'm going to think and feel about the day, and just take a second to meditate on that. And for me, sometimes that even that's in a prayer format. Okay, but however you want to do that, it is so powerful to write your daily news in the morning and to decide, maybe even to catalog and kind of just think through the things that you've got to do during the day, but to make a decision about how you feel about that. Okay, so I like to choose happiness, right? So if you know me or if you've heard me speak before, I like to feel like and be the queen of joy and all that is happy. It's how I choose to live my life. That's how I'm choosing to raise my kids, to think and feel that way. It's a really, really great way to live, guys. Get on the bandwagon if you haven't done so. Choose to think happy thoughts. Choose to not be overwhelmed by all that's on your plate. Choose to believe that time is on your side, that I have enough time for everything. Whatever it is that you're struggling with, and maybe in this moment, feel that come forward. What are some of those negative thoughts that you can turn around? Because that's really the end goal here, is recognizing that we get to choose and turn them around and get to believe that life is easy, believe that life is good, believe that we can do all things, or we can do the things that matter in that day, right? So someone might say or think, I've been accused before of kind of having rose-colored glasses and everything's perfect and roses and peaches. But you know what? I'll take it. I'm happy to live life that way. I'm happy to be accused of that. I actually am very happy. Isn't it a good way to live? Life can be that way. We get to decide. So what are you deciding? What are you manifesting? What's happening in your life? You're responsible. No one else to blame. Okay? It's hard sometimes to have this conversation at this level and take responsibility. But I promise you, the second that you truly take this to heart and take that responsibility and decide to turn it around, or shift your thinking, take responsibility, and help those around you who you're mentoring and who you're working with or who you're responsible for. For me, the children that I'm raising, we can have powerful effect if we will do these things. So how do we choose? it's so simple that it begins with having awareness of our thoughts, to actually stop yourself in your tracks. And if you need to practice and journal this out, or have a notepad with you to just recognize how you're thinking, what you're speaking, how you're saying, because even though, I was just saying how I like to be happy and I like to choose that, that does not mean that everything going on in my life is always happy. Okay, it's how you choose to think about them. Are you having positive or negative thoughts about the circumstances in your life? Okay, so, I got pulled over the other day driving home. That can feel, as I'm sure you've experienced, when the lights go on and you get pulled over I was speeding. That can be super emotional or stressful. And that experience, we can choose how we feel about it. Okay. So I remember being completely unaffected by that experience, because I was having a conversation with my daughter and he pulled me over, and I wasn't upset or mad. Instead, I just had a really good conversation about the officer. I was thankful that he was keeping our street safe, because I agreed you shouldn't speed. And I actually don't want people speeding on my street either. And he ended up giving me a warning, and it all worked out great. And it didn't turn into a negative experience, because I wasn't upset or mad or frustrated. Okay, this is just a small example that popped into my head, but do you see how we get to interact and engage and choose how to think and feel about stressful situations, and decide if we're going to allow them to be a big deal or not, stressful or not? It's totally up to us. We can think positively. So how are you thinking and feeling? Choose the positive spin on it. I wasn't mad at the officer. He's doing his job. And if he had given me a ticket, he's still doing his job. I was speeding. I was not thinking. I was really engaged in this conversation with my daughter. It doesn't, these things that sometimes are negative don't have to be. It's how we decide to internalize and think and feel about it. So this could feel funny as you're trying to turn it around and choose to think differently about things, but you do want to accept and embrace these new thoughts and feeling, and this new power that you have. And as you're doing it, use your essential oils. So on these slides, this is Becky's presentation. She's got different blends of essential oils that you are welcome to write down and practice and use, that are great blends that help to affect these feelings and help you to choose these thought patterns. But I wanted to, and I thought it'd be fun to also talk about so we've got this great yoga collection kit, if you haven't seen it yet, that it was just newly launched. And these oils have fabulous names and fabulous purposes to help us. And so try these too. Like, you don't have to feel like you've got to make a blend like this. You can go for and intuitively choose what works for you, and use the names of these 3 new oils and also our emotions kit to help you as you're going through this process to change your thinking. Okay, so we've got Anchor is one of them. Align is the other. I was going to just maybe flip it around and show you, not pull them all out. Anchor, Align, and I love this one, Arise. Okay. So do the blends as on these slides if you want, but also just know doTERRA has blended for us and given us these wonderful names to help us as we're doing and applying all of these principles. So you've probably seen this before, this understanding that our IQ is just, at the very tip of the iceberg. So much of our emotions, so much of what we're working on, the reason why you're in this emotions mentor group and learning and process is because we're all going for this emotional quotient of addressing what's happening in the subconscious mind. Okay, so we're not always consciously thinking about or connecting the two. And here's the risk. And again, at the bottom of the slide here, you'll see a combination that she's giving you that you can write down and use. But also use our essential or our new emotions wheel too. So if we don't pay attention to this, what's underneath the iceberg or underneath the water, and we're not trying to align the two and using our essential oils to do it, automatically, really. Isn't that great that we can pull these out and help us to align the two? That's where you start getting into, if we're not connected, we're denying our emotions and our feelings, where people begin to get into the addictions, right? To self-soothe, self-medicate, whatever addiction that we have major crisis with, it's because we are not operating with our conscious and our subconscious together. So it's so important to know that and to use our essential oils to be able to allow that to happen. All right. So, and that's again why, and I think right now I might go back to this other clip. Okay, I'm going to do it because you just have to know me. This is fun. We're going to go watch another clip of this in and out where it's showing how those different underlying, so okay, just picture from this movie and in this example, the sadness, fear, anger, it's working behind the scenes. It's in that subconscious, right? Pulling at this little girl, okay? Stop share and go back. Oops. We're gonna watch one more fun little clip here.
It was amazing. Just Riley and me forever. For 33 seconds. I'm Sadness. Oh, hello. I'm Joy. So, can I just, if you could, I just want to fix that. Thanks. And that was just the beginning. Headquarters only got more crowded from there.
Very nice. Okay, looks like you got this. Very good. Oh, that's a good dog.
That's Fear. He's really good at keeping Riley safe.
Easy, huh? Bye back. Oh, we're good. We're good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we're back.
Here we go. All right, open.
This looks new.
Think it's safe?
What is it? Okay, caution. There is a dangerous smell, people. Hold on, what is that? This is disgust. She basically keeps Riley from being poisoned, physically and socially. That is not brightly colored or shaped like a dinosaur. Hold on, guys. It's not great. Well, I just saved our lives. Yeah, you're welcome.
Riley, if you don't eat your dinner, you're not going to get any dessert. Wait, did he just say we couldn't have dessert?
That's anger. He cares very deeply about things being fair.
So that's how you want to play it, old man? No dessert? Oh, sure. We'll eat our dinner right after you eat this. Right. Here comes an airplane. Oh, airplane. We got an airplane, everybody.
And you've met Sadness. I'm not actually sure what she does. And I've checked, there's no place for her to go. So she's good, we're good, it's all great. Anyway, these are Riley's memories, and they're mostly happy, you'll notice, not to brag.
Don't you love that? That's so awesome. I love how someone said this. Okay. All right, let me go back. Okay, I love how she says about sadness in the end, like, and I don't know what she's here for. There's nowhere else for her to go. So we're good. It's okay. So funny. Because we have that sadness. It's important. There is no place else for it to go, right? I mean, all of those emotions, all of those feelings, all that's happening in our subconscious, it's there. It's real. It's happening. It's our ability to connect to it, to understand, to sometimes acknowledge, release, and live with that that we have to learn to do. We cannot be disconnected. We cannot be unaware that all of that's happening and going on. Our journey and what we have to do is learn how to manage and work with and appropriately release these emotions, acknowledge them, express them. Okay, and that's what's so cool about our essential oils that help us to do it. We also can have and use affirmations. Okay, so I am aware. We said initially awareness is most important. I am aware of what's going on inside of me. And if it helps to just remember that adorable cartoon and laugh about those things boiling up, sometimes that's, it's helpful to just understand that. I release the past. I am free to see the truth and be happy my way. Okay, I love that. I release the past. That one is so important. I believe in generating a positive attitude and focus. And I loved, if you were at convention, there was a psychologist that talked about her studies using the emotions wheel and the emotions kit, and shared a lot of different results on the different essential oils and the power that they had. But one thing that I thought was so cool from her results was what she talked about with this essential oil, Forgive. And she shared that Forgive basically outperformed. I mean, there was wonderful results from all of our emotions oils, but Forgive seemed to be like, and it was surprising to her, the number one essential oil for the emotional benefits that it had for the people in the clinic. And how appropriate that is, I believe, because I've always thought and known that forgiveness is so important. Releasing, what's either happened to us in the past, releasing and forgiving, what's happening around us. It's part of that taking responsibility that we talked about for our emotions, because we're giving back the wrongs that maybe occurred from somebody else's free agency, which we all have the ability to choose. And people make choices all around that affect us for good or for bad. But if we can forgive and we let go, then we're taking control of our power and our emotions and having that positive effect. My most favorite, we won't take the time to go look at the clip, but example of forgiveness from another fun movie is from the new modern day Cinderella clip, or Cinderella movie, or the most recent remake of Cinderella. But at the end, she, the wicked stepmother, so the prince comes, she gets the shoe, all is well, right? But she's walking out the door and the wicked stepmother is there. And she looks up at her, and you can just imagine if you had your moment of vengeance to say what you wanted to say to somebody who's wronged you for so long. I mean, we could go through the list of all the wrongs that the wicked stepmother did to Cinderella, but all she does in this movie is she walks up and she looks up at oh dear, I've got a lunch crew showing up at my house. Okay, hang on with me, guys. I'm gonna take this call to another room. 1 second. All right, this is what happens in my busy house. My daughter and a bunch of teenagers just showed up in my kitchen for lunch. I had not expected that, so we're gonna make some space for them. Okay, so right in the crucial moment of my story. Sorry, you guys. Anyway, she looks up at the wicked stepmother and she just says these words. She says, "I forgive you." And as I think about that, and even every time I talk about it, I just want to cry, because there's so much power in that. And it wasn't about the wicked stepmother and the vengeance. It was her release. It was her. She wasn't going to take all of that sadness and sorrow and vengeance and regret of what wasn't or didn't happen in her life. She wasn't going to carry that burden. She was too powerful for that. She knew what we're talking about. And so she simply says, "I forgive you." And you would have thought the way they depicted it, that in that moment that she had shot the wicked stepmother. It was so powerful. It's the most powerful thing we can do, is to just release, to forgive, to own our power, to move forward. Because the wicked stepmother just crumbled to the ground. She just slowly just crumbled to the ground and like, I don't have power over you? No, she doesn't. It was the forgiving that released it. Okay, that's what we can do. And we can do that and use our forgive oil to help us to do this, okay? And what is, we can't, let's see, let me go. I don't know why I can't move these boxes. All right, I can't even read that quote at the bottom because my Brady Bunch boxes are over my screen. But I can see the part that you can trust. I trust myself to make good decisions for me. It's another great affirmation. And I can complete what I start. Doesn't that sound powerful? Does that feel good? Because sometimes we start things and we don't finish. And then how does that feel? Those burdens we carry around. What about I can forgive myself when we don't do that though, right? Sometimes we don't finish what we start, but can we be a little lighter on ourselves and choose to forgive ourselves and be maybe not so hard on ourselves? All right, so every one of us is different, and we're all going to be experiencing different thoughts and limiting beliefs and negative attitudes or whatever it is at different ways. So I want you to be figuring out what it is that you got to change. Write down, as we're talking about this, what's bubbling up, what's coming to you of the thinking that you are going to shift. Okay. And let's see. There we go. Now I can move this. All right, I'm just trying to get to where I can see my screen. Okay. So you guys know this already, how we can use the essential oils topically, aromatically, or internally. Okay, so there's just some thoughts on when and how you would use those. We all have our favorite ways to use them. I invite you to just remember to go to these resources that we have and use them. That's the most important part. And then use our affirmations. All right, so you're gonna write again for just a second here as we look at this slide. Okay, and just think and meditate with me for a minute. As you choose one area after all that we've talked about, what's one area that you want to focus on? Okay, so we've already set some goals, but now get a little bit more specific, knowing yourself. What do you need to do more of, and how can you set a goal there? Is it forgiveness? Is it thinking positively? Is it maybe not overreacting? Or connecting better? Are you living too disconnected? We're all different. What is it that you want to work on? Because what is drawn to you. All right, so if we can shift and not think about what we don't have enough of, but what we want more of. I have a dream reminder set on my phone that just every night at a certain time it pops up on my phone. It just says dream reminder. But it prompts me to remember the dreams that I'm working on, focusing on, dwelling on. So every day when that pops up, I think about it. Okay, so that's one little trick that I do to help me dwell on my dreams so that I'm constantly manifesting what it is that I want. Another thing I invite you to do is to just recognize the miracles in your life and surrounding you. I've challenged my kids at different times to act like you're Inspector Clouseau throughout the day. I want you to investigate. I want you to see. I want you to discover the miracles. And at dinner time, I'll ask them to, what are 3 miracles that you noticed, and help them to realize sometimes we feel like, well, miracle, we're waiting for the seas to part, and it has to be huge and big. Not so. It gets to be whatever we want to have expressed gratitude for and appreciate. It can come in any shape and form. One thing that I've had a lot of that I recently moved to Utah last year. I don't know if it's a Utah thing or if I'm just noticing it. I don't know, but either way, I'm noticing it, and I think it's a miracle in my life. I keep seeing rainbows. I've seen so many rainbows. I think we had rainbows in Maine and on the East Coast too. I don't know that it's just a Utah thing, but for whatever reason, you guys, this year, I have had rainbow after rainbow after rainbow after rainbow. I have seen them in everything. It is such a gift. It's such a miracle. It's a promise to me that, that there's dreams coming true at the end of the rainbow. It's just this promise that all will be well. And I feel so much love and power in that rainbow that I see. It's a miracle. And it's probably because I saw it as a symbol. I decided it was for me one day, and then now I'm seeing them everywhere. Okay.
And that's why you are.
Yeah.
And that's why you are seeing them everywhere. Because that is I see bluebonnets everywhere. I live in Texas. I love bluebonnets. And we were driving past a shop window, and I went, bluebonnets. And my husband's like, what? I'm like, never mind. I'll explain later. But that's your symbol. That's what you see. And no, it's not just a Utah thing.
Yeah, because everyone's seeing them all over the world if you choose to see them. But thank you for sharing that. You all get to dwell and see the miracles in your life, and I promise they're there. Because I've gone through different hard things at different times that it's just felt hard or heavy, but I've also enjoyed and loved and seen miracles in all of those moments. In fact, last week, actually, convention week for me was a crazy hard week. We started off with one son in the ER, and then the next day, my daughter's friend died in a car crash last week during convention. And it was just, oh my gosh, you guys, it was such a hard week. It was such a hard week. But, I had in my head, because of an experience I'd had the week before, this statement on replay. And it was, I am mindful of you always. I had read that in a scripture verse. I am mindful of you always. And so as these hard things were happening, and I had all these people from convention, and I felt an importance, to be at convention, but I also had a 12-year-old daughter's heart was breaking, and that was going on. And so I found myself going back and forth each day, and to vigils and funeral, and the one son who had the broken hand, I haven't even gotten the cast on it yet. He's just been dealing with the splint that the ER put on, and he gets his cast on tomorrow. But it's like certain things just, you have to prioritize. But either way, all week long, I am mindful of you always. And it just felt like I was having and experiencing miracle after miracle. It wasn't hard. It was beautiful. I had a niece that just showed up and took my one daughter, out one evening right when I needed it. My mother had picked her up for lunch on an impression. I was able to just dwell on the so many points of rescue and service and love and connection that we were able to feel as we went through this hard thing together. And one night I even brought her to the hotel, and she slept in between Dave and I, and we just loved that little girl up, and it just makes me want to cry to think about it. It was a beautiful week. It was hard, but it was beautiful. And that is the choice that we get to have in every situation of every day, of every moment in our life. We get to choose to connect with the emotions and the feelings in our subconscious and laugh at them, recognize them. Even when you get mad and you overreact, I did that with one of my daughters last night. I had to just pause and think and breathe and forgive myself for overreacting. And she was crying in her bed, and I had to go snuggle with her and scoop her up and hug her and tell her how much I love her. And we had to just let it go. I overreact over a mess. Nail polish all over a towel. Whatever. She's little. They had fun. Justified, but whatever. You just have to choose to allow that good to be there. So when you're writing affirmations, using I statements in the present form, I am, not I will, in the future, but like I am worthy, I am creating my whatever it is feel that you are doing, that's what I want you to write down or find in your affirmations, and then speak them out loud. That's another powerful tip in just allowing that cell recovery. And I think too, that really means speaking out loud can mean like how I said I had to go snuggle my daughter and tell her I loved her last night after I had overreacted over a nail polish spill. I'd speak it out loud, right? There's power in communicating with each other. There was power in Cinderella saying, I forgive you. She might have felt it in her heart, but she said it. I forgive you. And the rest just crumbles away. Okay, so don't forget to speak it out loud. So ask yourself, what would happen if I had loving thoughts towards myself and others most of the time? How would my world change? Isn't that a powerful thought? I have a story about this. So I, as a little girl, Becky, my older sister, and my other older sister, Martha, nicknamed me as a small child, Pretty. That was my nickname. How cool is that? They called me Pretty Sister. And so I grew up with just these loving thoughts. And I actually give them responsibility for some of my loving, like happy attitude, because it was powerful to grow up with older sisters adoring you and calling you Pretty Sister. And as I grew, and mind you, it wasn't about, I was just a little, every child is this, beautiful, wonderful spirit and we all have this inside. It wasn't about an outward appearance. It was about an inward feeling is where that name came from. So then I grew up and I loved my sisters and I called them Pretty Sister. And we were the Pretty Sisters. That's what we were. So what we became. That's how we saw each other. How beautiful is that? I can tell you that upbringing and that relationship that my sisters and I have is so powerful. That's what happens when you have loving thoughts towards yourself and towards others. You can have such a powerful relationship, a powerful outcome. And then as we grew, and Becky was the first one who did this, we got together and we started having children. And we wanted our kids to be Pretty Sisters, right? So we got together for a little reunion and Becky made shirts that said Pretty Sister. And we had this whole ritual of, inauguration to have these little girls rise up and these cousins and friends. And some of you on the call, maybe we crowned you a Pretty Sister. We have a whole process of inviting people into that way of thinking and feeling and circle of love. It's beautiful. And when you feel it, it's tangible, it's powerful. So I want you guys to do that too. I want you to be my Pretty Sisters. I want you to think that about yourself and feel that way towards others and invite people into it as you're out sharing and loving and affecting positive change. View yourself as a Pretty Sister. And trust yourself. Trust that you can be confident. Trust that you can create what it is that you want to create. Trust that you can, these goals that you've written down here, that they can be yours. And there's so much power in that, you guys. I remember I've always been a goal setter, and I love the beginning of the year to set goals. Actually, I'll come up with any reason and time to do it. But Dave and I, one time, for our New Year's date, we went out and we were goal setting and talking about what we wanted to create and dreaming, because that's like a first step, is dreaming about it. And he had said, well, I want to have I'd love to have a hunting property with lots of acreage. I said, well, I would love to have a lake. I mean, we're just dreaming, totally dreaming. And left that dinner with we were written down some things and had a lot of fun talking about it. And then we dared to believe we could do it. And within months, we had found this old, property that we bought. And within a year later, we had this cabin on all this acreage. It was this lake house. It was this manifestation of our dream. And I think some of you have been there to our lake house. Or if not, because I know Becky's had her emotions mentor retreat there, or we've done retreats. So some of you may have been there and experienced that. That came from goal setting and believing that we could create, trusting and being confident to move forward. Okay? It all starts with a thought. So I want you guys to believe in yourselves and trust that you can have and create what it is that you want. And the hardest part of any journey is taking that first step. And if you don't believe that you can have or create or that you're worthy, then you will never take that first step. But how sad if you don't. Because you have more power and ability than you ever could imagine if you'll just believe. All right, you guys, that is the end of this presentation. I'm going to stop sharing. We have just, look at the time. I wasn't even keeping track, but how perfect. 2 minutes to go. So I would love if anyone has a question or a thought to share, you can unmute yourself and share it. If you feel inspired and ready to go and take control of your thoughts, wake up in the morning, remember, and decide, put daily news on, decide in the very beginning that you are running news flashes of all the amazing, happy, wonderful things that are going to happen in your day. Guys, I have to do that all the time. It's mind over matter. Like, I've got crazy stuff going on. We all do. You all do. You can give into it or you can rewrite it. Do you ever do this too? I'll do this with my kids. Like, do you filter kind of the news to of what you're like maybe saying or delivering so that it has a positive spin, right? You know how we can control that intellectually? This is the same thing that we get to do with our emotions. We get to put a positive spin and kind of control it, filter it. It's like the way I delivered the news to Sophie about her friend dying. Like you can craft how that's done. And sometimes that's intellectually happening. But that same ability to control situations and to diffuse situations, we get to do it by connecting into our subconscious and control the way we're thinking and how our day is going. So even if it's a really hard day, we get to make it not so hard by what we're believing and thinking. You guys, you have so much power. You do. We do. We all do. And it's awesome that we get to own it. Be Wonder Woman. If you haven't seen Wonder Woman, the new one, have you guys seen that show? Wasn't it awesome? Cheryl loved it. Yeah, it was. I honestly, did I see it twice or 3 times, like within a week when it came out? Because I had gone with my girls and they loved it, and then my husband wanted to go see it, and then we were visiting friends in Maine and they wanted to go see it, and I thought it was hilarious that like I usually never go to the movies, let alone see it twice, but I literally saw that one 3 times, and each time I enjoyed it because it's just powerful.
Oh yeah, it was a very, very awesome movie, and I'm waiting for it to show up on Disney Movie Club because I'm going to buy that one. But The message is about power and hope, and that it doesn't matter what everybody else believes, it's what you believe. And no one else believed that she could do it. Everyone else thought that she was going to go and fail and leave, and her purpose was over and done with, and she proved everybody wrong.
She did. She didn't have all of that information out there telling her that things weren't possible. She just believed that it was possible. So that's like kind of pure thoughts, right? That weren't tainted yet with negative self-doubt. So we've had all these experiences and, all this maybe sometimes incorrect thinking or not knowing the tools or not having our oils that have been layered upon us. But as we pull it away, and as you guys are learning in this program and learning with the master, my sister, who's amazing, and coaching and learning with each other, what an awesome group that this is, that she put together, that you've all been drawn into for a really good purpose and reason, then all of that will filter away, and somewhere down in there is that raw belief that you all have, that raw power inside. So just know it's there. Connect to it. Connect into that subconscious. Use these tools. Feel powerful. Be powerful. Own it. Go, girl. You got this, right? Boom, boom, boom. And you can do it. So everyone, have an awesome week. Thanks for letting me be on here with you. Such an honor, such a privilege. So super fun. And you'll be back with Rebecca next month when she's not at a doctor's office.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A
welcome.
perfect add-on to the convention. I mean, it just, even cements everything that was felt at the convention. Thank you, and Rebecca.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. You guys all have a lovely day.
Thank you.
We'll see ya.